Well, hey there. It's that coding guy here, breaking it down and making it accessible. If you missed it, my last video was an interviewing video about giving them the meat, but not too much meat. And so if you missed it, go check it out. This one is going to kind of explore more on the but not too much meat side of things. As an interviewer, we are trying to get information that we need to determine whether or not you'll be a good fit for the position that we have open, a good position for our company, a good candidate, for our company, and a good candidate for our team, whatever team we may be on. So I've seen candidates who will get asked a question, and whether it's nerves or whatever, they will just go on a tangent. You ask them about one thing and they answer that, but then they keep going, maybe for as long as 10 minutes for one question. If you do that, you're probably not going to get the job. There's probably another candidate who gave more meat, was more concise. We were able to get through more interview questions, and I was able to better understand them to rate them as a higher candidate, a better fit, right? So you don't want to be that person. So how do you not give them too much meat? All right, it's a balance. We want to give them enough, not too much. Part of it is going to take practice. If you're the type of person who gets very nervous and tends to talk to cover that, then consider making a note of the question that you get asked. As they ask it, if you can quickly type it, put it in a small window of your screen. Maybe if you have time and have set up in advance, you could hit a little start button on a timer. So you can say that if you get to 3 minutes and you're not done yet, wrap it up. If you look over and you're still talking and you look at the question and what you're saying is not pertinent to that question anymore, wrap it up. And to close, to quickly close, you can say, well, I hope that answered your question, like pretty much no matter where you're at. Or something like, if that didn't answer your question, I'd be happy to elaborate on anything in there. It's better to wrap it up than just kind of like taper off over another couple of minutes. And then I think another tip would be to practice common interview questions. There's generally and there's sets out there of questions that you can research. Tell me about a time where you had rapidly approaching deadlines and competing priorities. How did you handle that? Or what would you consider your weakness, your biggest weakness on a team or something like that? Some of those are very general. They're not necessarily programming specific, right? More of culture side of interviewing. So practice those guys and practice common ones on the coding side as well. Tell me at a high level about the architecture of the last project you worked on. And if you practice those ahead of time, set up a timer during your practice run. Try to answer that question in a couple of minutes if you can. Same way with your elevator pitch. Someone asks you in an interview, hey, thanks for coming in for this interview today for this position. I'm Bob. I'd like to ask you a few questions and get to know you. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? They don't want to know about the cat that you had when you were 2. They're not necessarily interested in what you did for your first job right out of high school. Unless you just got out of high school and that was your last job. Maybe that's the case, right? But in general, what they want is to know what you're bringing to the table that is going to help you excel in the position you're applying for. So drive everything through that lens. They ask you to tell you a bit about yourself. Tell them the things about yourself that are pertinent to that position. Really tailor it in. And that means that your elevator pitch may change depending on what position you're applying for and things like that. So the elevator pitch is another great topic, another great thing to practice, practice, practice. Somebody asks you how you're doing at a barbecue, whip it out. Give them the elevator speech. Or you get introduced to, maybe they don't ask you how you're doing, but you get introduced to somebody new in a non-work situation, whip out the elevator speech. Practice, practice, practice. You want to be able to deliver that guy in 30 seconds to a minute and be out, right? So hopefully some of those tips will help you dial that in. In the next video, we're going to talk about an even better framework for putting together answers to common interview questions and even off-the-cuff interview questions. So stay tuned for that one. But for now, practice, set a timer, answer the question, and get out. Get to the next question. Cheers.